Jeez Louise. Look at all these spoons. All at once, one knife. Why can't I find any? Why I have so many spoons? Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. It's a podcast where we spin a wheel to 1,001 albums you must hear before you die. Then, my brother Adam and our friend Jack and I, Justin, we get together, we listen to that album for a few times a week, and then we decide if it's really an album you must hear before you die. Shout out! Oh, am I giving a shout out to you? I am! A shout out to Sydney, who's on camera this week for 1995 album from Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go see if I can find that knife. Jack, do you know where that knife's at, buddy? I can't find it anywhere.
Oh boy, this week, the wheel bestowed on us one of the holy relics of female empowerment, especially for any girl that was in her teens or 20s in the mid to late 90s, with the massive iconic album Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette from 1995.
My initial reaction, Adam, was like, I have to go back to the mid-90s and listen to Alanis Morissette again. 3 times, the full album, all 12 songs, all 7 singles. I played way too much on the radio as JJ McKay. All right, let's see if my opinions changed since 1995. Time, as Jack would put it, to show some growth.
I've only listened to this album maybe once. 7 of the 12 tracks on the album were massive hits you would just turn on the radio and listen to. Kind of always felt like I was supposed to kind of touch Jagged Little Pill. So being a boy, I wasn't supposed to own it or touch it.
Don't touch that, Adam.
Kind of always felt like it was for the girls in a way, right?
Jack, have you ever listened to Jagged Little Pill before?
We're in the summer of 1995. Alanis Morissette, who's unknown basically to American people, drops the album Jagged Little Pill. And it seemed like it was almost immediate that she was a superstar. My reaction was, I've not sat down and listened to this as a whole album in quite some time. Was anticipating my revisit, wondering how it aged. Angry young women, angry young men, angry young anybody. Sometimes doesn't age well.
I'm in my senior year of high school that year. Anywhere where the girls are, what they're listening to at that time period, my senior year, they're listening to Jagged Little Pill.
She was everywhere. Every late night show, every performance, and it really did feel immediate, but it felt important. It didn't feel, hey, maybe this is where women's rock is headed.
Everybody's into Alanis Morissette or is being forced to listen to her.
First time I became aware of her was whenever I was in college and working as a DJ, not as at the Top 40 station, but as a DJ at the college station. I can't remember shame on me, I can't remember the call letter. Anyways, there was another DJ. She was like, hey, Justin, have you heard this Alanis Morissette song? You ought to know. She's like, I wish I could play it, but we don't have the edited version of the song. And I was like, no, I haven't heard it yet. And she's like, well, it's really good, but she drops the F-bomb and is talking about, going down on him in a theater. And I'm like, oh, okay. Next thing I know, she was everywhere.
A flashback feeling that still rears its head when I hear You Ought to Know. Because the love that you gave, that we made, wasn't able to make it enough for you to be open wide. No! That thing, bop, 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 bop. Little staccato type thing. Can't figure out why. It always made me think about pulling turnips to that rhythmic verse, and it still does. I'm still out in the field. You ain't gonna stop me.
I had to throw the headphones on and kind of really focus on getting some things done at work. I was shocked, and I mean shocked, at how well this album has held up, how it sounds. For the songs that you've heard 1,000 times, I really realized kind of how deep Alanis goes lyrically on the album. I was never a big You Ought to Know fan, although I get the point of that song and why it was so big. And my favorite tune has always been Hand in My Pocket.
Hand in My Pocket's lyrics are strange. I don't even understand them. Why is her hand in her pocket? And what's it mean? With her other one, she's playing piano, she's hailing a taxi. Why? What's that mean?
I kind of read where Alanis, it only took her less than 60 minutes to write all of Hand in My Pocket, where she just sat down and wrote it right in front of Glenn Ballard all at once. And same thing with the song Perfect. I think she just really tapped into something. And, I wonder if fans of Alanis's first 2 dance pop albums were kind of bummed out. The song that stood out to me the most was All I Really Want, the opening track. It's a great opener that just kind of sets the entire tone for what's to come on the album.
For me, listening to the whole album in sequence from 1 to 12, I agree with you, Adam, All I Really Want is a really nice opener to this thing. But I can't believe how deep Ironic is on this track list. You gotta wait to the 10th song just to get to it. But listen to this. It made me think of this question. Who gets the most credit? Producer Glenn Ballard, Alanis Morissette's lyrics, or the two of them writing the music together? Is it that sweet harmonica that Alanis blows on a couple of these songs?
Glenn Ballard isn't going to be singing these songs. It clearly isn't Glenn Ballard's point of view as a angry young woman.
The young female audience at the time in the 90s, the songs really don't feel forced. They feel more like a person that had a lot of pent-up frustration about things. I feel like Glenn Ballard might have tapped into her and turned the tap on, and they just couldn't turn it off, and she just poured out lyrically these different ideas.
What struck me 30 years later about her lyrics is that they sound more observational and personal than angry. True, I still have troubles getting around her lyrical delivery. Sometimes her diction sounds like a overachieving theater kid.
Well, obviously you got to go with Morissette. I think you have to really give it to Glenn Ballard. He encouraged her to be in charge.
The fact that she and Glenn Ballard, wrote everything is kind of amazing, but it just kind of feels like an album where they just caught lightning in a bottle. If she was a little bit older, I think she was 21 when it came out. I don't think you get this album. I think it was a moment in time situation.
Very unique voice, enjoyable voice. Probably wouldn't win Star Search. Think about that sometime. You listen to these people and you go, wow, what a song. If that was an unknown song and this person came out and sang it on Star Search or The Voice or whatever, would they get buzzed? And just say, get out of here with that. You don't sound like a note holder. That's what we're looking for in this shop.
I had two favorite songs. Or the two songs that got me this time around. I liked You Learn a lot more. I couldn't stop humming that song to myself. And that's a song I never really cared for that much before. So also Forgiven. That song could have worked as an 8th single. That song was pretty powerful. It was my favorite album track on here.
I kept thinking every time I heard it, I was like, man, sounds exactly like a Pearl Jam song. And I finally put my finger on it. And Forgiven is exactly like Tremor Christ by Pearl Jam, which is eerily familiar to that song.
Shout out to Vitology. I like that connection.
J.J. McKay in our area. Right, Justin? So I know you've probably spun these songs way too many times.
As a DJ, Justin, did you just feel obligated to play it? Were they requests, or was it operating under a playlist? I wasn't sure exactly how your radio station worked in the day. And then as a DJ, did you ever get tired of it?
So I worked Top 40 station from 1995 to 1997. And look at the release dates of these singles. I made a mistake. It wasn't 7 like we were saying earlier. She had 6 singles. When I started getting more regular shifts, you ought to know that craze had already left. So You Learn and Hand in My Pocket, those were probably the songs that I started having to play all the time. And how new music was divvied out was there was A songs, B songs, and C songs. And there were 7 A songs, so those songs would get played every 3.5 hours, 2 an hour. B songs would be like 9 or 10, and C songs would be up-and-coming songs. So anyways, every Alanis Morissette song that came out was an A song. So they were getting played every 3.5 hours. You can easily get tired of songs, especially as long as Ironic was an A song. Plus, another side note, you want songs with long intros. As a DJ, none of these songs have long intros, so you couldn't really talk into them. They all start with her singing pretty much right off the bat. Adam, you gotta talk your girls to listening to Jagged Little Pill.
Either let their moms explain it to them, because I don't know if mansplaining Alanis Morissette, the emergence of so many female artists that came from her, they discover it for themselves if they do, and if they want to talk to me about it or ask my opinion, I'll give it to them.
What do you tell your daughters? You say, hey, you can listen to this. Sometimes things go wrong. That doesn't make you wrong. Alanis says so.
Adam takes the numbers and crunches it down for us. He scored Jagged Little Pill, his highest album yet in 67 albums, 8.67. I give it a 7.083. Jack a 5.54 for a final overall rating of 7.097. Our 4 favorite songs, You Ought to Know, All I Really Want, You Learn, and Ironic. Our least favorite on Jagged Little Pill would go to Mary Jane.
Cruising in a car, Jagged Little Pill. House party, Jagged Little Pill.
Would it be ironic if I said that you should listen to this album before you die? I don't think it's ironic. I think that's a good suggestion. You should, in fact, listen to Jagged Little Pill before you die. There's some good tunes on here. And you say, hey, some of the lyrics are a little bit juvenile. Well, she's young. She's 19. I'd probably leave out that Dave Coulier part. Get off her back. Jiminy, what'd you do at 19? Consider the source before you start ripping on somebody. I think Alanis did a fantastic job on this album, and yes, indeed, this is an album you should hear before you die.
My first reaction when this was spun was, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this listen this week. But I have good news for all you Alanis Morissette fans out there. Even though I had to play these songs thousands of times when I was in my 20s, and I found it a little off-putting at the time because I had to listen to them so much, 30 years in retrospect, I think this is a wonderful album. Lyrically thoughtful, observant, and musically very enjoyable. And that's smart, too. Great production by Glenn Ballard. Plus, it took 30 years to see the impact that this album really had. The copy I showed you is not my copy that was in the opening sequence. That is my wife's copy. And she, like Adam said, was like many women from the mid-90s. Like a rite of passage for any girl in their 20s back in their 90s. Adam?
Well, here at the Wheel of Albums, we have now listened to 67 albums and rated them. And if I only had to pick one album from the ones that we've listened to so far, Jagged Little Pill is the one you need to listen to. It ignited female alternative rock. I kind of honestly feel like it's the female equivalent of Nevermind, and is probably one of the three most iconic and important albums of the 90s, along with Nevermind by Nirvana and Radiohead's OK Computer. So get in the mindset of a young lady from the 1990s, find a Sony Discman, put those headphones on, put one hand in your pocket, and enjoy, because it is a fantastic album, and that comes from a 48-year-old guy that lived through the age of Jagged Little Pill at its height when he was 18.
Enough about Alanis. Let's talk about the next album for a while. And that's a week's seg into me spinning the wheel for next week. Here we go. And the wheel is going round, round, and we are staying in the 90s. And we're going back to the UK, because Robert Dimery is from the UK. We get a few more entries from over there, but that's okay. I like British music, and so does Jack and Adam on occasion. And we get the Charlatans, better known here in the United States as the Charlatans UK, and their 1997 album, Telling Stories. Hey, if it's your first time listening, we would love if you followed along with us. We are on YouTube. You hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, let us know where you're from and how you're doing. How much you love Wheel of Albums. Plus, if you're on Spotify, go ahead and do the same. We'd love a rating and a follow along. We give you new episodes almost every Monday.
Gotta be honest, out of all the big hit singles, You Ought to Know might be my least favorite. I don't know if that's because she was throwing shade on Dave Coulier from Full House. Good old Uncle Joey there.
I'd probably leave out that Dave Coulier part. I might be uncomfortable with the age difference.
And let's be honest, Uncle Joey, Dave Coulier, what are you doing? You're 33 years old dating an 18-year-old. Dated her for 2 years. I mean, I get it, things are different in Canada, but come on, man. She had every right to throw shade at you in the way you acted. How dare you, Joey? How dare you?